Welcome to everybody to anticipated releases for the month of April. I was about to say March. My name is Nick.
I'm Mike.
I'm Pat.
And I'm Travis.
And as we've said for the last couple months, it's not a big month, but we also have a couple games that we want to highlight and games that we are super excited about. And to start us off, you see that that awesome person in the red shirt over there? That guy who's above my screen?
Oh, that's me?
Yeah, you starting us off, baby. What you got?
Okay. Well, I'm going to start off with the fact that everything I'm talking about this month is a re-release. So, again, nothing new, because I can never talk about anything new. Because for some reason, I guess I just don't like new games. So, I think the first thing I'm going to talk about is the least of the two that's most interesting here. Final Fantasy XIV is coming out on the PS5. They are starting the open beta, what is it, April 5th, I think? I did not check the date. But,
exactly, it doesn't matter. It'll be on screen.
Whatever, yeah. They are doing the open beta for PS5. They're bringing it to PS5. The really exciting thing with it is... So, PS5 is bringing, a bunch of new graphics. They showed, loading times, which are abysmal right now. They've always been abysmal in this game. And loading times on the PS5 are just, nothing. It's interesting to think about, though, because they do... They're still planning on forcing you to sit in a loading screen until everyone's loaded. For, instances, right? But if
do they not hold a room that you could do stuff in before?
No,
or
they don't. Okay. So, if you're going into a dungeon, you're gonna have to wait until everyone else is loaded in to get loaded in. But if you're fast traveling, it's a second. It's insane. So that's kind of cool. Higher end graphics, all that stuff. The big thing that they're also releasing that day is the final patch of this expansion. So this is the last. Well, maybe there's one more other than that, past that. But I think this is the last one. At least the last story one, I should say. Mm-hmm. So this will be the last story patch for this expansion. And then that means the new expansion comes out this fall, which is super exciting. So this is kind of a little teaser for that.
Cool. Do you know if there's anything specific that's being added? I don't know how this game's going. Is it the same version throughout all platforms of the game? Or is there at least something special that's coming to the PS5 version?
As of right now, there's nothing really unique other than the fact that I think there might be some kind of in-game cosmetic or something for beta testers, people who already have PS5s and are going to test it. Excuse me. But other than that, I don't think there is anything additionally
Okay. All right. Mike, do you want to go next or you want me to?
I'll go next.
Okay.
So I guess the first one I'll talk about is probably Oddworld Soulstorm. So this game is kind of cool. A lot of people have probably heard of the Oddworld games. They are these side-scrolling games that tend to be fairly difficult, and they're really cool. They've been dating back since the 1990s, even potentially the 80s. I'm not too sure. The earliest one I know is 96, 97, but it's a fairly old franchise, and one that I think is really, really cool. The whole premise of the game is you are this guy named Abe, and you're kind of going on this adventure, and it's a very lighthearted style. But what's cool about the game is the fact that it has philosophical dilemmas inside of it, and kind of the undertone of the plot, as fun as it is actually kind of deep in terms of the actions that you have in the game. Is it going to cause your peers to follow you, and do you have people that support you, or are you kind of isolated and alone? And it actually ends up changing your powers in the game, your spiritual powers, things like that. So the decisions that you choose to make in this world actually have a pretty significant influence on kind of the undertone of the game, which I've always thought is really interesting. This is a remake of Abe's Exodus, I believe, which came out around at this point 25 years ago or so. But they did a lot of upgrades to it, and especially the PS5 version. This isn't just a remake in terms of better graphics. There's actually a lot of little details they added in. One of the things that's cool is the controller's rumble vibration feature, the whole haptic feedback and everything, actually correlates with Abe's heartbeats. And so when he is cool, more stressed and things like that are going on, the controller will vibrate accordingly. And so, just little touches like that I think are really, really cool. they've always put like so much work into the Oddworld games, and so it's been a long time since I've played one, but they're really, really fun. If you're at all interested in like Crash Bandicoot or like it's hard to say. These games are so unique in how they work. They're side-scrolling games where you're kind of moving up and down. I don't really know what they're like. If you're interested in like a Mario and Crash, might be similar to this, but really this game like fits in its own genre kind of. But it's really, really cool, and I think it's worth checking out.
This was the one that they mentioned in the State of Play, right? Where like you're rescuing other aliens and whatnot, right?
Yep.
Okay. That one did look really, really cool. And it definitely seemed to be something that was way more unique. And I mean, you see a lot of nowadays of like crazy FPS games and whatnot. You see a lot of like the Call of Duties and the Dooms and whatnot. To me, it's nice to get like a breath of fresh air because this is definitely a game that is not conventional by any means.
Yeah.
At least from what I've seen by looking at it. I haven't done a lot of research into it.
Yeah, the Oddworld games are definitely games that, like, from one screenshot, you can definitely tell, like, oh, yep, that's Oddworld. It stands out from, like, everything else. It's really cool.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to go next, and the game I'm going to be talking about, I think I mentioned it about, like, a year ago, is the new Pokemon Snap.
Oh, Snap.
Oh, that's a good one. I like it. Where to begin with this one? I think when we last talked about Sword and Shield, we obviously have differing opinions and whatnot. I think Pat, Mike, and Travis all enjoyed what they played and whatnot. I was one of the people who was more like a stick in the mud. I didn't like Gen 7, and I was like, I didn't like the direction that they were going with Sword and Shield and whatnot. And yeah, I heard certain things about like whether I would like Sword and Shield or not. But at the end of the day, I thought that was pretty much my exit from the series, except for two games. Two kinds of games I would want the Pokemon company to come back with that would keep me interested. One of them was the Gale of Darkness or Pokemon Coliseum, because I absolutely adored those games, and I was actually pissed when they did the Pokemon Direct. They actually did not even mention those two games with the Shadow Pokemon. I was really sad about that. So it's like they've forgotten it, and so that one's pretty much a dead dream. But what wasn't a dead dream is they showed off a new Pokemon Snap game. And the original Pokemon Snap was, people make jokes about it being a rail shooter, because technically it is, but you're taking pictures, for the N64. And so it seems to be going in exactly the same route, which I think is fine. And the main difference is it's a more expansive world, better graphics, better visuals. I mean, visuals is kind of like a lightly used term when it comes down to Pokemon, but I mean, it's updated from the N64 times, obviously. But overall, yeah, it's more of the same. The Pokemon Snap series has a couple of more unique things where I like it because it's not just shoot everything in your way like a Star Fox thing and try to find like the weak spot when dodging attacks. It's more puzzle-based. It's more, I'm going to throw an apple to lure Pikachu to a surfboard, and he's going to be doing cool tricks, and I'm going to take pictures of that so I can get extra special points. That kind of incentivizing of testing out different things to in the world to be able to get a cooler score for a picture, I thought, especially as a kid, was addicting. So I really like the fact that they're going back to it with this new direction, with the whole new Pokemon, like a whole new world or whatnot. I don't know what the world or what the region is called, but personally, I'm really excited about this because this is one of the things that I think was very, very overdue, especially from Pokemon's end. But at this point, it's not. There's really no point in being more angry that it took this long. I'm just happy that it's happening. For a full $60 game, I'm not sure if it is worth though, but it's also Nintendo, so I'm kind of on the fence of. I don't want to spend the money for a full price game, but I definitely want to try this game out at some point. So, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it because the two kinds of games that I actually really enjoyed as a kid are making a resurgence right now, but time will tell if they're going to make more of those or if this one even does good. I'm really excited about it, though.
I've never played Pokemon Snap, so maybe this is the time to actually try it. But I remember watching you play it and how much fun it was for you, and I'm like, this is awesome. I'm even having fun watching you have fun playing this game.
I mean, with all these photo modes that people are putting in anyway, you just kind of go back to the one that started it all, Pokemon Snap.
Right.
Actually, I don't think it started it all, but it did stuff. It definitely did stuff.
Did something.
It did something. It's a fun rail shooter game. So that's it for me on Pokemon Snap. Travis, you don't have any games, so
no, I'm
back
just
to
here
Pat.
for the ride.
Okay.
Just being the pretty face.
So my other one that I want to talk about is very important to me as an individual. and I very much hope that it doesn't suck. They are re-releasing Star Wars Republic Commando on PS4 and Switch. This was a game I played all the time in childhood. I think I played through it at least like 30 times. When I was a kid, I had Xbox. Like, that was one of the only games I had. I remember playing like the multiplayer back when there were people playing it. It was super fun. It's a challenging game, and it looks like, from what I've seen so far, it looks like they didn't do like a HD remaster. You know, they didn't really up the graphics. It's not like you don't have like a Battlefront 2 to Battlefront 2 jump kind of thing. Like, it doesn't change much. It looks like they kind of like smoothed out the game, so maybe did a little upgrade on graphics, and like animations and stuff look a little bit smoother. Like, they don't look as choppy as they used to for like a 2005 game, you know. That's all the footage that I've seen, so it doesn't look like they did a whole lot to it. But I think being able to play it just on a optimized for a newer gen console is good, because like if you go back and play that on like Xbox 360 or something, it's terribly optimized. Like, it doesn't work well, and especially if you're trying to play like through Xbox Pass or whatever, like backwards compatibility, like, it's terrible. It's really hard to play. Playing on PC is awful too. Like, it's not optimized for like 1080p, modern monitor resolution. So I'm just looking forward to being able to play it like it's meant to be played, you know. I don't think they're adding anything new. I don't even think they're bringing back multiplayer. I think it's literally just, from what I've heard, I think it's literally just the story mode, but that's fine with me. I haven't been able to play it since I was a kid, just because I'm too picky when it comes to graphics. So I'm excited to get to play it again. I'm probably gonna pick it up on PS4 just because I like that's kind of where I like playing shooters. But you can get it on Switch too. So I think PS4 probably maybe looks a little bit better. I don't know.
At least we'll
probably
have
run better.
Yeah.
Dude, it only took one time when I was playing. Oh crap! I can't remember what the game was. I'll put it on the screen if it really matters. But no, I counted it. I got a clock, I got a stopwatch, and I counted it. There was a 50-second loading screen. And if you saw this game, there's no reason for it to be almost a full minute of a loading screen.
Oh, yeah.
There's no reason whatsoever. I was just like, is this Sonic 06? It wasn't. Anyway, Mike, I know your game you just wanted to briefly mention, so do you want me to go for this one and you mention it at the end, or how do you want to attack it?
I mean, I might as well just do it and,
okay,
kind of knock it out. So the other one I wanted to talk about, I feel like it's kind of a big. I feel like for the general population, it might be like the biggest release of the month by chance. Kind of depending on who we're talking about, at least. It's called Outriders by Square Enix. Basically, like, if you look this up online, people don't really know what to totally expect. A lot of people say it looks basically just like Destiny, like a Destiny knockoff. There are a couple of things that do make it a little interesting that actually kind of have me a little excited, because I am not like a Destiny player by any stretch. That whole the whole live service type of game, or that style that's like pretty much mandatory co-op or constantly being online, never been a huge fan of that stuff. This game swears that, or at least Square Enix swears this is not like that. So they say this is not a live service game, which it's funny the time period we live in, because they see that as like a bad thing. They're like, we're not live service, but we don't want that to scare you. And I'm like, that's the opposite. That actually makes me kind of happy. But
yeah, I'm happy the life's not live service. Fuck live service.
Yeah, that's 2021 in a nutshell, where they have to like be cautious that they're not live service. But so like the general idea, though, it works a lot like Destiny. In fact, the whole like kind of futuristic space theme, where you're a group of people that are terraforming a new place, it kind of seems like it has that same vibe. There are a couple of cool things I like about it. One of the big things is I do like how they regenerate health in it. This was like one of the first things that really stood out to me. That's like, I kind of want to play this, which is the only way you can recover health in the game is by killing other things. I like that. Which is kind of cool for a third-person shooter, where normally if your health is low, you go and hide. Whereas in this game, if your health runs low, you can't go and hide.
Yeah.
It's like it's incentivizing you basically to go out and fight and be aggressive, which is kind of cool. I'm a fan of that whole style of like kind of pushing the player forward and pushing them to be more aggressive. There's a few different classes in the game, so kind of similar to games like Destiny. There are different ways you can play it. I don't remember all of them, but there's a couple like Technomancer and, like someone who's kind of a support role. So it definitely is setting itself up to be like a pretty cool co-op game. I also like the feature that it's drop in and out co-op, which is great. So if someone's internet is bad or someone has to leave, it doesn't like ruin your progress. It's kind of like they pop in when they want and they can leave when they want. And I love stuff like that. So I don't usually play games like this, but this one feels like it's more up my alley. It's something that I'd want to do. So, we'll see if they stick to all these things that they're saying. But for now, it looks really cool, and I think this will be a fun thing. The demo for it is out, and it looks really cool, just kind of seeing like the user interface and the maps and the graphics and everything. So I'm kind of excited. Definitely not a game I'm going to pick up right away. I'm kind of curious to see what's actually going to work and be there. It also scares me that Square Enix, one of the developers, said, it's not live service, but we're going to update it. Even if it's unsuccessful, we'll still be there. It's like, that's a weird thing for a company to say like 3 weeks before a game comes out. But
how did Marvel's Avengers turn out, Square Enix? How did Marvel's Avengers happen?
It's a game.
And they were hyped for Avengers, so if that tells you anything.
Yeah.
It's good that
had
you
so much more marketing.
It's good that you bring that up, because what I am scared of this game is that it's going to have a Marvel's Avenger problem, and this is what I mentioned when we talked about when Marvel's Avengers was going to come out. Like, we talked about that, and I talked about that. What I want to avoid is I want them to make sure that this game is not like Avengers in that it's just like a ceaseless loot grind. I appreciate Destiny because it's like, okay, there's constantly better guns, there's constantly better gear that you can get, and you can have different builds and stuff like that. Cool, whatever. But they're constantly putting out new content, so you can still get the cool guns and whatever from the new stuff, and you can run old stuff. You don't have to keep doing the same thing over and over. Avengers didn't have that. They were just like, here's the game, good luck. Like, this is it. Like, you can keep getting better gear. It never changes how your character looks. It kind of sucks. And I'm really hoping that Outriders, like, they learned from that, because if it's just like this ceaseless, like, okay, I gotta beat this guy. If it's like an MMO where I gotta beat the same fight 20 times in a week to get like a piece of gear, I don't really want to do that, because I'm already doing that in 6 MMOs. I don't need another game. But like, if they do it well and they make it enjoyable, like to do that and to keep doing that, I'd play the shit out of that game.
No, I see your concern, Pat. Marvel's Avengers is actually like a really great example of this, because it's a great example of, if you put out a game that is kind of more in the beta stage or something like that, like it's not fully fleshed out in terms of the progression system like Marvel's Avengers was, it's not really you're not really going to get the best results out of there. You're going to see that, oh, we put out this game, and I'm sure what the people who created, who are like the people who are marketing, saying, people must not really like Avengers games. Like, no, you just made a bad game. You made the game not fun to play. And you have really shitty ways on trying to incentivize people to spend money to actually get what they want to do in the game. There's a lot of things behind it that, there's a lot of things in the game where it was designed in a way where they took out a lot of the fun aspects, which was not ideal. And they also it didn't seem like they released the game they spent a lot more time on marketing the game than actually making a fun game, which kind of sucks, and that is the reality of the situation. I'm not going to go too crazy on that, but I do hope that they learned their lesson from Marvel's Avengers and that they're moving forward, because this game definitely doesn't have the marketing that Avengers does, because obviously Avengers is like probably the biggest grossing, I don't know if the right way to say it is, one of the
franchise.
Yeah, biggest grossing franchises in the world right now. So I just hope they learned their lesson. I know another thing I wanted to mention to Mike about that when he mentioned the you can come as you go for the Wi-Fi thing. Ghost of Tsushima Legends was pretty bad with that when it came down to the story mode. There's multiple times where I was just learning it, but I would bump into the story mode with somebody, and they would run off, get themselves killed. I didn't res them within like the minute because I was clearing out the Mongols in the area, and then they would just disconnect, and I was stuck, and I could not progress throughout the rest of the story because my person was an idiot.
Yeah.
I would have to wait to do it with, so like me and Matt did it, and it wasn't too difficult. It's just like, you can't res the person like the second they go down if there's 5 other people in the way. It was a frustrating experience. So that change overall, I think, is a very good one to have.
One more thing, Mike. This game, Outriders, is going to be cross-play, which means I will play it with you if you get it.
Here's the thing, too, right? So, like, I'm assuming your PC... It's coming out for Xbox One, I'd imagine,
It's
too, right?
coming out for everything. Yeah,
so
it's on
we
everything.
just need Nick, Travis, or Matt to play it on PS5, and we're covering every console we can play it
I
on.
don't have a PS5.
That's true.
So
Oh, that's true. I guess no one
Matt
has a
to
PS5,
get
actually.
it.
Matt's the
Matt
only one.
does.
That's true. Well,
Matt
PS4
has
too.
to buy it. on
Yeah, Matt called up
PS5.
one of the scalpers and beat the shit out of them in a Walgreens parking lot.
Oh my god.
Hey, that's how you get a free PS5 these days. Anyway,
There you go.
so our last game that we're going to mention, and it's one that by far is probably, probably one or two for the most anticipated games that I'm excited for coming out this year, and that's NieR Replicant. It's like NieR Replicant version 1.44. Yeah, Yoko Taro has very creative names for games, I guess. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Creative is an interesting word.
Yeah, it's... I don't understand the way this guy's brain works, but hey, NieR Automata was awesome. Wait, sorry, no. I said it NieR Automata. Technically, it's NieR Automata, I believe is the right way to say it. I don't know.
Just
Anyway.
little quick sidebar.
Yeah.
They did a crossover event this year in Final Fantasy with NieR. So there's
awesome.
actual NieR lore that takes place because of Final Fantasy XIV. Just saying.
Sounds awesome. Sounds awesome. But yeah, so NieR Replicant, the story in this game takes place in between the game NieR and NieR Automata. So what I think is super cool is when I was playing NieR Automata, I'm trying to say the correct pronunciation in case people are more critical of that. But what I loved about it was that when I was playing through the game, I thought this was a fun JRPG. I really liked the story of the game. The combat was a mixture of bullet hell and action RPG elements. And overall, just an extremely fun game. What I didn't expect was that I started, now that I've gotten to this point where we've had a channel for a while, I have a lot of other games that I've played, I started thinking about the games that I want to look back to, and games that I either want to replay, or games that have stuck with me for a long time. And somehow, even though I've played a lot of pretty solid games, like recently within the past couple of years, none has done it to the point that NieR Automata does, both in philosophical message and in just the general tone of the game overall. NieR Automata was really cool about posing a lot of questions where they're not meant to be answered after a quick playthrough. You're supposed to sit down, you're supposed to just think about it in the back of your mind and start to dissect the messages of the game. The NieR series is, I don't know if it's Mike might know, I don't know if it's a direct continuation or a spin-off of the Drakengard series, but those kinds of games had a really big cult following, and it's nice to see that after the success of NieR Automata, because before the game series weren't as popular and also suffered from horrendous frame rates. But so the performance of the game was never really that good, but once they actually got to the point where Platinum Games handled it, they were actually able to make a more functional game, which was nice. So some of the differences about NieR Replicant, it seems like a lot of the same voice work is coming back from NieR Automata, which is nice because I thought the voice acting in that game was fantastic. What are some of the other parts? The combat is very similar. It has the mixture of like bullet hell elements. You'll see a lot of... You see, this is where I kind of get a little... What's the right word? Confused on this point, because I don't know if it'd be better to play one of this, because it's a sequel to NieR and a prequel to NieR Automata. It's kind of weird because I feel like you want to play some of the other games to have some context, but NieR Automata wasn't like that. NieR Automata, you could go in blind and still have a full game experience without having to know the events of the past games, but you might, if you knew about Devil on Popolo from NieR, you would have more of an understanding of what the heck they're doing in NieR Automata. So stuff like that, stuff about Project Gestalt, and I don't want to go into too much depth because it might be spoiler territory. Stuff about the main story is really, really intriguing, and it's one of the most compelling stories I've played in the past couple of years. So if you ever want to... I've actually wanted to do a NieR Automata game breakdown for multiple times, but I think me and Mike are the only people that have played the game. And I tried to get Matt to play the game, and Matt was stuck at the first boss, and I don't think he ever bothered to replay after that. So, the first main boss. So, either way, this is a game that I've already pre-ordered, and I'm most likely playing day one, and it's not very often that I say that. So, me being this excited about a game is very rare, and I'm hoping that it just lives up to it because Ys 9 did that. So, I mean, I'm hoping that NieR Replicant will as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to play that. I come from it from the other end because I've played I've played the new one too, but I've also played the original NieR, which I will always say is like the greatest game that no one's ever played. Because it's so much fun, but like no one's really even heard of it. Even like the people that have played like the new one that came out, still never went back and played the original one, and so it's like that original one was like forgotten. But it's so much fun. So it is cool, like seeing a game kind of bridge the gap a little bit. The new one's really cool, but it's a lot more futuristic in its tone, a lot more based, on all of that. So I do like the fact that this one seems kind of in the middle. What I loved about NieR was kind of like the small village setting, and kind of just like it felt very medieval. As opposed to robotic, which the newer one obviously felt a lot like. So I'm a huge fan of this kind of idea that it's in the middle. I really don't know much about this game at all. I've kind of kept it a surprise. When there's something I'm really excited for, I try to avoid looking into it as much as I can. So I don't really know if it's super futuristic or kind of feudalistic or somewhere in the middle. But regardless, I'm excited because anywhere on that spectrum, this franchise is really cool. So I'm excited too.
Yeah. The story mode, I'm with you. I tried to block out a lot of the story mode. I just wanted to see if the combat was going to be similar, and so it was, which was nice. But I'm guessing it's going to go into more detail about Project Gestalt and what all that was about. What I was going to mention too about NieR Automata that I loved as well was the fact that it it rewarded you a lot for just messing around, which I think is amazing. So this is a spoiler, so it's not a huge spoiler, but it is a spoiler. So in the game, the way that you can upgrade and equip abilities is you put add-ons or attachments to like your chip, and you get an ending. There's a whole bunch of different endings in the game. There's one for each letter of the alphabet. So there's 26 endings technically in NieR Automata, and only 5 of them are necessary to get the true ending. So what was awesome about it was that, first of all, the music was fantastic. I mean, we don't really have to say that much. NieR music is fantastic, but what was awesome is that if you can straight up remove your OS chip, so you're playing as like an Android pretty much. You're playing as 2B, 9S, or somebody else. And if you remove your OS chip, you just die. And then you get an ending. And it's just like, if you just mess around with that kind of customization and then you just die, I just was like, that was funny. And then just puts you right back in it. So you don't really have a penalty for messing around like that and straight up getting an ending. You're just like, oh, cool. I didn't do the thing. Or I got another ending with 9S, and I was just like, where 9S was trying to be called into action. I just ran in the other direction. He goes, 9S abandoned his responsibilities. And then I got an ending. I was like, this game's awesome.
Yeah, it's so fun.
So it really encouraged me, and as somebody who really loves just kind of fucking around and testing out a lot of stuff in JRPGs, it really got me to test out almost everything, almost every weapon, almost every like something. Like I remember like there's when I was playing through the game. Sorry, I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent, but I boosted myself to only have speed chips. I was doing no damage, but holy shit, I was fucking zooming, dude. Like nobody could touch me. So I loved NieR Automata, and I'm really excited for NieR Replicant. I shouldn't go too much in depth because if we ever do something on the NieR series, which would be fun, I think before we would want to do it though, I might have to play the original NieR. So Mike, I might have to ask you about how to do that if I have the platforms to it.
Oh yeah, you totally should. I want to say they're making not that I want to say. I feel like I read that they're remaking it for the newer systems.
They should.
I could be wrong, but I want to say they're like.
You're right.
It. I feel like I saw that.
I think I saw that somewhere too. Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's been 4 years since NieR Automata, which I think was 2017. And I think besides porting it, they haven't really done a lot with the series.
Well, 2017 was 4 years ago, so if you're right, yes.
Yes. It is time.
I would like to offer my commentary on NieR, and it's the fact that the only thing I know about it is that there's a weird girl with a blindfold with a dress, And in Final Fantasy, there's a boss that looks like her, except it's like 2,000 copies of her mixed together to make a giant version of her, and it's really weird.
Yeah, that's about the NieR series. There's a couple of points in the game where you're just like, this doesn't really make much sense. But what's another thing that's cool about it is that if you actually look back at the game, everything is answered if you looked more.
Sure.
And so the way that they like incentivize you to fuck around, at least for me, and to like experiment with everything, and then I realized that almost every question that I had going through the game was answered there. So it's like,
So why was she blindfolded?
that doesn't have any impact.
I think otherwise.
Yeah, every answer is solved except for that one. Yoko Taro, why did she have to have a blindfold?
Come on, man. Why are you cheating out of some good story?
Yeah, fun fact is that there's more pixels on 2B's ass than there is on the Minecraft Steve in Minecraft.
That's amazing.
Well, in like one small area in 2B's ass, it's more pixels than Minecraft Steve. Anyway,
they have 2B's pants in Final Fantasy. You can wear them and it makes your character's butt bigger.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I like
I'm
that.
all about that life.
All right.
Okay, so that's gonna do it for the releases for April 2021. We say this a lot. Obviously not a huge month. There's two releases that I'm super hyped for, and a couple that I'm excited for. Otherwise, a couple re-releases. We still haven't gotten to like usually the summer months, and obviously COVID's gonna be pushing things back and everything. But either way, there are some games that we are excited about. So if you are excited about games as well, there's a comment section below that you can tell us about it. Or if we mentioned a game that you are now excited for, please let us know because it warms our heart when you do. But besides that, I don't have anything else. How about you guys?
No,
Cyberpunk
I mean, I
2077.
can't wait until like new games are actually gonna come out.
Cyberpunk
So fun.
2077.
I can't wait for the release of Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk! Did you see the tweet when Pat can't make the Cyberpunk joke anymore?
Yeah.
All right.
WandaVision, man. Stay golden.